year is 1888, and the heart of the British Empire, London, is a city of stark contrasts. While opulence and progress shine in its center, the East End district of Whitechapel festers in darkness. It is a labyrinth of narrow, gaslit alleys and overcrowded slums, where poverty is a relentless plague. The air hangs thick with the stench of coal smoke, unwashed bodies, and despair. In these desperate streets, thousands are crammed into squalid lodging houses, entire families confined to single, flea-infested rooms. Life is cheap, and death is a constant, familiar neighbor. For the women of Whitechapel, survival is a daily battle fought on the grimy cobblestones. With work scarce and hunger a gnawing certainty, many are forced into the perilous trade of prostitution. They are the forgotten, the unfortunates, shadows moving through even darker shadows, seeking just enough coin to pay for a bed for the night, to keep the cold at bay for a few more hours. They are vulnerable, adrift in a society that has largely turned its back on them. And it is from their ranks that the specter will choose his victims. As August bleeds into its final day, the oppressive summer heat gives way to an autumnal chill that feels deeper than the weather. A new kind of fear, cold and sharp as a blade, is about to descend. In the pre-dawn hours of August 31st, a carman on his way to work discovers a crumpled figure in a dark gateway on Buck's Row. It is a woman, Mary Ann Polly Nichols. At first glance, she appears to be just another victim of drink, but the approaching lamplight reveals a horrifying truth. The discovery of Polly Nichols' body marks the beginning of the nightmare. Her throat has been severed with 2 savage cuts, and her abdomen bears deep, vicious wounds. The brutality is shocking, but what is even more unsettling is the scene's quiet stillness. There are no signs of a struggle, no screams heard in a densely populated area where the walls are paper thin. It is as if a ghost has performed this gruesome act, a phantom who can kill and vanish without a sound, leaving only a mutilated corpse as his calling card. Just over a week later, on September 8th, the phantom strikes again. In the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street, another woman, Annie Chapman, is found. The pattern is terrifyingly similar. Her throat is cut, and she has been subjected to even more horrific mutilations. This time, the killer has surgically removed her womb and taken it with him. Panic begins to curdle in the streets of Whitechapel. This is no ordinary cutthroat. This is a monster with anatomical knowledge, a predator moving with chilling precision and purpose. The press, hungry for sensation, dubs the killer the Whitechapel murderer. Newspapers print lurid details, and fear spreads like wildfire through the city's veins. The police, overwhelmed and ill-equipped for such a methodical monster, launch a massive investigation. They interview hundreds, detain dozens, but the killer remains a ghost. He leaves no clues, no witnesses, only a growing trail of savagely murdered women. The residents of the East End are trapped in a waking nightmare. Each creak of a floorboard, each shadow in an alley, a potential harbinger of the Ripper. As September draws to close, the killer's audacity escalates into a night of unprecedented horror. In the early hours of September 30th, the body of Elizabeth Stride is discovered in Dutfield's yard. Her throat is cut, but her body is otherwise untouched. It is believed the killer was interrupted. A chilling thought that he was forced to flee before his ritual could be completed. But the night's bloodshed is far from over. His ghastly work was not finished. Less than an hour later, and only a short walk away, the killer finds his next victim. In Mitre Square, the body of Catherine Eddowes is found. The scene is a tableau of unimaginable butchery. Not only is her throat cut and her abdomen ripped open, but her face is deliberately and grotesquely disfigured. Furthermore, her left kidney and a portion of her womb have been expertly removed and taken. The city awakens to the news of this double event, and terror reaches a fever pitch. The phantom now has a name, one that will echo through history with a malevolent resonance. A letter claiming to be from the killer arrives at the Central News Agency. It is filled with taunts and boasts, and it is signed with a name that perfectly encapsulates his brutal craft: Jack the Ripper. The name is a journalistic invention, a cruel piece of branding, yet it sticks. It gives the formless terror a moniker, turning the spectral killer into a legendary boogeyman. The police are inundated with letters, most of them cruel hoaxes from a public both terrified and morbidly fascinated. But one package stands out, cementing the killer's reputation for ghoulish arrogance. George Lusk, the head of the White-Capel Vigilance Committee, receives a small box. Inside is half of a human kidney, preserved in alcohol. Accompanying it is a note, crudely written and chillingly nonchalant. From hell it begins, claiming the sender had fried and eaten the other half. The kidney is believed to be from Catherine Eddowes. The From Hell letter is a direct challenge, a piece of visceral theater that sends a new wave of revulsion and fear across London. The killer is not just a murderer. He is a performer, a demon who revels in the panic he creates. He is playing a game with the police, with the city, with the world. He communicates from the abyss, mocking their efforts to catch him, proving he can not only take life, but also desecrate the remains with impunity. The city feels helpless against such a depraved and intelligent foe. The police investigation intensifies, becoming one of the largest manhunts in history. Detectives patrol the dark, labyrinthine streets, their lanterns cutting feeble paths through the oppressive gloom. They question butchers, surgeons, and slaughterhouse workers, anyone with the anatomical knowledge to perform such precise and gruesome mutilations. Yet every lead turns into a dead end. The Ripper is like smoke, a fleeting presence that dissipates the moment you try to grasp it. Life in White-Capel grinds to a halt under the weight of fear. The once bustling nighttime economy of pubs and street stalls becomes eerily quiet. Women, especially, are afraid to walk the streets alone. Vigilante groups form, patrolling the alleys with clubs and makeshift weapons, their fear turning to anger and suspicion. The community turns on itself, with neighbors eyeing each other warily, wondering if the monster walks among them in plain sight. The social fabric of the East End begins to unravel. The fog, a quintessential feature of London, becomes an accomplice to the killer. It rolls in from the Thames, thick and yellow, blanketing the city in a disorienting shroud. It muffles sound, distorts shapes, and transforms familiar streets into alien landscapes. The Ripper moves through this fog like a creature born of it, his footsteps silent, his appearance obscured. The city itself feels like it is conspiring to hide him, to protect its most monstrous secret. The public's imagination runs wild with theories about the killer's identity. Some whisper he is a mad doctor, others a demented nobleman, or even a member of the royal family. The mystery fuels a cottage industry of speculation. He is a phantom of high society, a toff who comes to the East End to prey on the vulnerable. He is a supernatural entity, a demon summoned from the depths of the city's own sin and squalor. The less known, the more the legend grows. The victims in life were largely invisible to the wider society. They were women on the margins, struggling to survive in a world that offered them little kindness or opportunity. In death, they are thrust into the spotlight, their tragic lives and brutal ends dissected in the pages of newspapers. They become the canonical five: Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and one more who is yet to come. They are no longer just women. They are symbols of a city's terror. The police are criticized relentlessly for their failure to capture the killer. The force is relatively new, and its methods are primitive by modern standards. They lack the forensic tools we take for granted today. There is no fingerprinting, no DNA analysis. The investigation relies on shoe leather, interviews, and instinct, all of which prove insufficient against a killer who is both cunning and forensically aware, leaving almost nothing of himself behind at the scenes of his crimes. The description of the man seen with some of the victims is frustratingly vague and contradictory. He is described as having a dark complexion, a small mustache, and wearing a deerstalker hat. He is of average height and build. In the poorly lit, teeming streets of Whitecapel, this description could fit thousands of men. The Ripper is a man with an everyman's face, a ghost who can blend into any crowd. His ordinariness, the perfect camouflage for his extraordinary evil. The pressure on the police, particularly on Inspector Frederick Aberline of Scotland Yard, who leads the investigation, is immense. He and his men work tirelessly, chasing down every rumor, every potential lead, no matter how flimsy. They are men haunted by the specter they are hunting, walking the same bloody streets, knowing that at any moment the Ripper could be watching them from the shadows, perhaps even enjoying their fruitless efforts. The autumn of terror wears on, and the nights grow longer and colder. The gaslights of Whitecapel seem to burn a little dimmer, casting long, dancing shadows that play tricks on the eyes. Every doorway holds a potential threat. Every whisper of the wind sounds like a footstep behind you. The city holds its breath, waiting for the phantom to emerge from the fog once more. And he does, for one final horrific act. The climax of the Ripper's reign of terror occurs on November 9th. The victim is Mary Jane Kelly, a 25-year-old woman, younger than the others. Unlike the previous victims, who were murdered outdoors, Mary Jane is killed in her own room at 13 Miller's Court. This crucial difference gives the killer something he has not had before: time. The security of 4 walls allows him to unleash the full, uninhibited depths of his depravity. The scene that greets the landlord's assistant when he peers through the window of Mary Kelly's room is a vision from hell itself. The small, sparsely furnished room has been turned into a slaughterhouse. Mary Kelly's body lies on the bed, but she is barely recognizable as human. The killer has spent hours mutilating her, carving her body apart with a frenzy that borders on the demonic. It is an act of total annihilation. The post-mortem reveals the shocking extent of the mutilations. Her face is hacked beyond recognition. Her breasts are cut off. Her internal organs are removed and strewn about the room, some placed carefully on a bedside table. Her heart is missing, taken by the killer as a final, grotesque trophy. The horror of it is absolute, an act of such extreme violence that it defies comprehension. It is the Ripper's magnum opus, a final, bloody exclamation point on his reign of terror. The murder of Mary Jane Kelly is so gruesome, so far beyond the pale of what was thought possible, that it stuns even a city that had become accustomed to horror. It is the work of a man who is not just a killer, but a butcher of human flesh, a creature who seems to derive a monstrous pleasure from the act of desecration. The police are left with a crime scene of unprecedented savagery, and the chilling realization that the monster they are hunting is even worse than they had imagined. And then, as suddenly as it began, it stops. After the butchery in Miller's Court, the killings cease. Jack the Ripper, the phantom who held London in a grip of terror for 3 months, vanishes. He melts back into the fog from whence he came, leaving behind a city traumatized and a mystery that will endure for centuries. The autumn of terror is over, but the ghost of the Ripper will never truly leave. The end of the killings brings a sense of relief, but not closure. The monster has not been caught. He has simply disappeared. Did he die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Or did he simply move on, his his bloodlust sated. The questions hang in the air, unanswered. The police case officially remains open until 1892, but no new evidence ever emerges. Jack the Ripper has successfully committed the perfect crimes. The legacy of the Ripper is profound. The murders expose the dark underbelly of Victorian society, forcing the affluent to confront the desperate poverty and squalor that existed in their own city. The case leads to calls for social reform, for better housing and sanitation in the East End. In a strange, bloody way, the Ripper's crimes bring a spotlight to a part of London that had long been left in the dark. Over the decades, the Ripper case becomes the ultimate cold case, a puzzle that amateur and professional detectives alike cannot resist. Hundreds of suspects are named, from obscure individuals to famous figures like the painter Walter Sickert and the Queen's grandson, Prince Albert Victor. The theories are myriad and often fantastical, but none have ever been proven. The Ripper's identity remains his final, most enduring secret. The story of Jack the Ripper transcends true crime and enters the realm of folklore. He becomes more than a man. He is a symbol of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of civilization. He is the gentleman killer, the top-hatted shadow with a Gladstone bag, a figure of both terror and morbid fascination. He is the ghost that haunts the Victorian imagination, a specter of violence and mystery. The streets of Whitechapel have changed dramatically. Since 1888, the slums have been cleared, the gaslights replaced by electric lamps. But if you walk those streets on a quiet, foggy night, it is not hard to imagine the past bleeding into the present. The names of the victims still whisper on the wind. Polly, Annie, Elizabeth, Catherine, Mary Jane. They are the true ghosts of this story, their lives cut short by a phantom who was never brought to justice. The pubs where the victims drank still stand, their Victorian facades a link to that terrifying autumn. Tourists now walk the path of the Ripper, listening to guides recount the gruesome details of the murders. The sites of the killings are marked, sacred ground in a macabre pilgrimage. The horror has been commodified, turned into entertainment. But the chill of the real events can still be felt. The question that has haunted generations remains: who was Jack the Ripper? Was he a madman, a misogynist, a calculating monster? Or was he something else entirely? A force of darkness that coalesced in the squalor of Whitechapel for one bloody season? We will likely never know for sure. The lack of an answer is, perhaps, the most unsettling part of the tale. The monster was real, but he remains faceless, nameless. The story of Jack the Ripper is not just a tale of murder. It is a story about fear itself. It is about how a city can be held hostage by a shadow, how the unknown can be more terrifying than any known threat. The Ripper was a ghost in the machine of a bustling metropolis, a glitch in the fabric of society that revealed the fragility of order and the ever-present potential for chaos. So the next time you feel that unexplained shiver in the dark, think of the autumn of 1888. Think of the fog-shrouded streets of Waitekapel and the women who walked them in fear. Think of the phantom with a surgeon's skill and a demon's heart, who came and went like a nightmare. The terror he created was real, a palpable presence that suffocated a city. The mystery of Jack the Ripper endures not just because it is unsolved, but because it taps into a primal fear. It is the fear of the faceless killer, the monster who could be anyone, walking among us unnoticed. He is the darkness that wears a human mask. His physical reign of terror may have been brief, but his ghost has achieved a kind of immortality. He is forever lurking in the shadows of our collective imagination. And perhaps on a cold, misty night in the old alleys of London's East End, if you listen very carefully, you can still hear the echo of his silent footsteps on the cobblestones. The ghost of Jack the Ripper has never really left. He remains, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, and some ghosts are never truly laid to rest. The question still hangs in the London fog. Who was he? And could he, or something like him, return?